Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Mock Draft, and this is post free agency, and I believe our first post scouting combine because we just never did one right before free agency. That was kind of by design because comparing to how we did them a bit ago, there's a whole bunch of different needs for teams, and there's a new team picking number one overall, and I don't have that luxury of being the Carolina Panthers GM. That'd be my father, Tony, who is taking control of the odds today. Say hello to everyone, Tony.
How's everybody doing today?
I mean, I've been better. Woke up with no contacts. That sucked.
That's your own fault.
It's not my fault. The place didn't call them in. They just got in today, the day I ran out, so I had to run there and get them. Because I'm not complaining about this. Not first world problems. I know. But you are on the clock, Carolina Panthers, and we are ready to get going. So who are you taking?
I'm gonna start the old draft here real quick, and I am going to take C.J. Stroud.
CJ Stroud.
It's kind of funny going before the combine and everything else. I flat out told you C.J. Stroud was my number one quarterback in this year's draft, and at least now some people are starting to agree that he might be the number one overall. So
And I'm picking two. I'm obviously going to pick my number one quarterback overall. Here's what I would say. I think Bryce Young's a better player. That being said, the Panthers will and should take CJ Stroud. If you heard my instant reaction to the trade with the Bears, I pretty much said my piece of the quarterback coach loves him. If the quarterback coach loves a guy to draft, you're probably taking that guy. If you have a big need and you have the number one overall pick, don't you agree?
one would hope so because you want the two of them to have a good working relationship. But Tepper being who Tepper is, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to happen. So
That is very true. But as I said, I'm taking my guy and Bryce Young. Are these two guys the top two players in the draft? No. And this is pending legal allegation and everything because we don't know the full story about Jalen Carter, but I still say Jalen Carter is the best football player in this class. He just doesn't play the most valuable position in all sports, arguably.
I would totally agree with that. I have a soapbox that I jump up on every year when everybody starts talking about how high they're going to take these quarterbacks, and I'm like, just because the position is overvalued doesn't mean that you guys should take guys that. Last year I felt pretty vindicated because everybody was talking about people getting taken in, like overall number one in the first round, and then they got drafted in the third, and I was like, well, finally, you know, it seems like maybe the media isn't driving the mechanism. So it was pretty nice to see.
See,
With Arizona on the clock, I think in this situation, they're probably going to look at trading down. Somebody's going to be wanting to come up and get another quarterback. I think that in reality, it will probably be Levis. But that's just my bias just between the two of them. I think Levis is a better, more rounded prospect for right now. But since we're not doing trades, we're not, correct?
no, we are not.
Okay. All right. I better verify. Then I'm going to take Will Anderson. Uh,
Really? So I have to ask, is this due to what happened at the pro day or the legal allegation with Carter?
I think it's a little bit of both. And they need help all throughout that defensive line. There's no doubt about it. And the way, especially the NFC West is done, I think being able to create havoc against the quarterback might be the best way to initially start to rebuild. Jalen Carter, as far as I'm concerned, is a better position of need for a lot of teams. But I just think that splashier move of Will Anderson to help try to revitalize that franchise is probably a better move.
So, and this is another player because I know you like him. Did you consider Tyree Wilson over him? Or was it 100% Anderson?
I took Anderson specifically because I think Tyree honestly is going to get sent inside a little more. He's not going to be that every down rush guy. And let's face it, Arizona needs to have some good news and some splash. So that's kind of why I did it the way I did it. And he's a high character guy, and they really have some issues down there. So why not bring somebody that can be a calming force into that locker room?
Yeah. So here I am with the Colts, and in reality, they're taking a quarterback. But I can't take a quarterback with this roster. I know people like this roster. I'm not one of them. This team needs to overhaul their offensive line. It is a bad unit. It got Matt Ryan killed. You can be like, well, Matt Ryan was still old and wasn't good. I do agree. He took a major step backwards. That being said, that O-line was awful. And they have done nothing to fix it. You're going to put a rookie quarterback behind there. They're going to get killed. And they're going to be gun shy. Blaine Gabbert for one. Maybe Blaine Gabbert's not the most, just athletic specimen, pro-ready quarterback. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what he could have been. He was put behind a bad offense line in Jacksonville and got gun shy and got afraid of the pressure. We need to fix that, and we need to look forward to the 2024 rookie class and take our bumps and bruises. So I'm going to take offensive tackle, as I don't see him, Paris Johnson Jr. And the other reason I'm taking this is Shane Strickland. Steichen? Steichen, okay. Sorry, Pro Wrestling Mind came in. Steichen comes from Philadelphia. Philadelphia is known to having one of the best offensive lines in all of football. That's what made their offense so versatile. You need to bring that to Indianapolis.
So Paris Johnson then, correct?
Paris Johnson Jr., yes.
So is Gardner Minshew your day one starter?
Gardner Minshew is who I'm rolling in with my day one starter. He knows the system. And here's the thing. He is a solid quarterback. He's not going to get you to be a Pat Mahomes. He's not going to get you to be a Josh Allen or a Joe Burrow. But you know what he's going to do? He's going to hold down the position. You can keep him there for another year. You can have him work with the rookie quarterback. But you need to get stability in that O-line or else you're going nowhere. And you're just going to be sitting here in bad to mediocrity levels for many years until you fix this offensive line. And by then, your quarterback you just drafted here could have fallen out of the league because he got hurt or just so many other things. Andrew Luck's prime example. Has there been a quarterback as talented coming to the NFL as Andrew Luck?
Not in recent memory.
And how much longer of a career would he have had if the Colts had a good O-line his career?
Oh, I completely agree.
Would they be in this spot?
Years.
Would they be pick 4 right now, or would they be contending for a Super Bowl?
Oh, they'd be in the playoffs perennially.
Yes, and it didn't happen because Luck got hurt, and you got to break the cycle.
No, I don't have a problem. So with the way this draft is falling right now, Seattle would be fielding a ton of phone calls, and they'd be trading down. That being said, we're not doing trades again. So I honestly still want to pull the trigger for Jalen Carter. I really, really do. But they've done some work on the defensive line this year, so I'm going to go Tyree Wilson here. My finger's not clicking the draft button. Okay. Tyree Wilson. If Jalen Carter somehow fell to 20, I would pull the trigger right away. But there is enough issue there, and Seattle has been snake bit before with the number 1 draft pick, and so I just think that discretion being the better part of valor, Tyree is going to be an explosive NFL player. So go with that.
So if this happens in real life, I need that live look in the Detroit Lions war room to see Dan Campbell, to see that smile, to get all pumped up. He'll probably be doing like bench reps while this is about to be announced. He's going to take maybe the best player in this class. In my opinion, he is. Maybe the biggest game changer in this class. The guy that can possibly get the Lions back to the playoffs. Give me Jalen Carter. And if there are concerns about him not being fully committed, like he came into the pro day overweight, I think it was by 8 pounds, correct? It was something along those lines. There's a lot of stuff going on in his personal life. I'm not going to speculate into it because I don't know the man. But here's what I will say. If there are any concerns about him not being motivated, devoted, or whatever, give him a coach like Dan Campbell, a guy that can inspire you, a guy that can get you wanting to play football.
No, I completely agree. And like I said, I wanted to pull the trigger on him, but just following what Seattle's been saying and everything else, I just think that they would not go there if he dropped down, and if Seattle had traded down and he was still there at 7 or 8 or whatever else, definitely pull that trigger.
Okay, but best player on the board.
Yes, best player on the board, but you still have to consider your franchise. So I know that Jimmy G is
Bad.
is
handsome.
There you go. I know that he is a Las Vegas Raider, but they're going to take Will Levis here. I think they need to have something to look forward to, and you can still play Jimmy G. He's a great teammate. He does really well with bringing along, other talent that's going to supplant him, and so you just roll with it.
Here's the question that I have about Jimmy G. How much is he going to make in marketing stuff in Vegas? Because he is a handsome man. You can put his face on any billboard.
Yeah, he should probably do okay there.
Yeah. Here I'm with the Falcons, and the Falcons have a lot of needs. I'm surprised they were as good as they were last year. I'm not sold on Desmond Ridder, but I think you'd roll with him this year because you just didn't get one of the 2 elite quarterbacks in this class, in my opinion. So you have to kind of just pack it in, look at next year. Arthur Smith is a patient man. He is going to let this team develop, let this team go. So if you don't have pressure, we can look at all the sides of the ball. Offensive line, they brought back a lot of their offensive line. Cornerback, A.J. Terrell is one of the best corners in the league. I know a lot of people don't view him as highly as that. He is. Receiver, there's only one receiver I'd even consider drafting top 10, but the receiver need, I don't really view it as a major need with the fact they have Drake London, Kyle Pitts, and this has a lot of depth. The receiver position you can get later on in the draft. So, I'm looking at this. What is something that can change my outlook on this team? There are 2 players. One from Northwestern, who I'd move into guard, and Peter Skoronski, and one, a linebacker from Arkansas named Drew Sanders. I'm going to take Sanders here. This is a team that needs some just explosive, needs some game changers on their team, on the defensive side of the ball. Give them Drew Sanders. He'd be perfect for their defense, and I do believe they had another 4-3 defensive coordinator, correct? Because
I honestly couldn't tell you about that.
I believe they hired another 4-3 defensive coordinator, and he will play and I always get these 2 mixed up in my head, but I believe it's Sam linebacker.
Probably he'll probably play Sam. That's what in a 4-3. But like I said,
and you pair him up with another young athletic linebacker they drafted last year, and Troy Anderson.
So, did you by any chance think about maybe looking at going with a cornerback here? Just to pair up, because if you solidify your back end like that, that could be good for years down the road.
It could be argued considered, but I'm going to look at the teams in their division. The Panthers, they might be drafting a quarterback first overall. That team running the football is terrifying. You need a linebacker there to help go downhill and stop the run. The Bucs, they're probably going to be headed a lot more run-based offense. As you told me yesterday, Baker Mayfield excels in play action. Well, what do you need to have good play action? A good, proper run game. And the Saints are probably going to go with a lot more play action, as you said yesterday. Carr, good in play action. So we're taking out something. We're helping beat your 6 games, your 6 most important games of the year. We're helping win those.
No, that's good. I've thought about this a lot, that solidifying that back end might be a good idea as well.
And I do understand that, but I Arthur's I was calling him Arthur Smith. It's Arthur. I don't. Anyways, I got the Falcons coach and owner mixed up apparently, but the coach comes from Tennessee. Tennessee was known for running the football and good linebacker play because they had some very good linebackers. Well, let's bring that to, and almost good God, I gave everything mixed up. Let's bring that to Atlanta. Get that good linebacker play and let's build the trenches. I think they improved their guard position in this draft at some point. I'd look at Steve Avila in early round 2.
No, I don't have a problem with that. Chicago's on the clock, and this draft has gone completely south from where a lot of the experts have gone, but I don't really have a problem with that.
It went south as soon as I took Paris Johnson at 4.
Yeah, that did tend to wreck things up a little bit. So Chicago, they've been doing a really nice job in free agency, not getting some huge high dollar players, but just getting some solid players. They could still use a good wide receiver. I think this is probably a little too early for the wide receivers that are on the board. Tight end, that's once again. D-line and offensive line, yes, please, all the way around. And then their secondary needs some help too. So I think just knowing how they like to play on the outside. I'm going to draft Christian Gonzalez here.
Over Devin Witherspoon.
Yes. Like I said, I've done a little more research on Gonzalez. I wasn't super high on him, early in the process, but from where he was in Colorado to where he is now, and with all of his tools, he can be an island corner unto himself. He's big and physical enough to where, he can use that boundary as another defender. So, yeah, I think so.
You just screwed me up so much. Not because I was going to take Gonzalez, but because I thought you were going to take Witherspoon.
Well, if I hadn't taken Gonzalez there, I was going to take Witherspoon. So.
Oh, man. So, I'm going to take Witherspoon here. This was not expected. I was not expecting to be on the board here. So I'm taking Witherspoon. But let me say who I was going to pick before you made this pick. I was going to go Peter Skoronski, and you're probably like, why? The Eagles have a great O-line. They're very good. They have all this. Well, they just lost Isaac Semalu, big Samoan guy. He went to my team. I'm still learning how to pronounce his name. They lost him. That is an important piece of their offensive line. Draft a guard. I think Skoronski is a guard. I think he can be an elite guard in this league. The Eagles are known for drafting guys and just developing them into a great offensive line. And it's also important because you're going to have to cut costs at some point with Jalen Hurts getting his new contract. And eventually Jason Kelce is going to retire. And I assume you're going to have Landon Dickerson or Cam Jurgens take that role at center. Well, what are you going to do at the other guard position? Why not have an elite guard? That being said, Devin Witherspoon fell to me here. And the Eagles, they're going to have to cut costs with Hurts. You draft Devin Witherspoon, and maybe in a year now, you cut Darius Slay again, or you get rid of James Bradberry. Or move Devin Witherspoon to safety. They just lost Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. He has so much versatility. He improves that back end of the Eagles' defense, and let alone, Slay is getting older. James Bradberry is getting older. When you get older, you tend to have more injuries. You can rest them a bit. You don't have to play them every single snap. They may want to, but if you're looking for a little bit of the playoffs and you want them healthy and ready for that, maybe get them a couple plays off. You put Witherspoon out there, and you're just as in a great spot as you were with them out there.
Well, I think everybody runs more nickel than anything else now anyway. So
that is true, but still, you cannot have too many good corners on your team.
Well, that's pretty interesting. I'm going to draft Skoronski here for Tennessee. And the thing is we're going to go into this and we're going to see how he does at tackle. if we need to kick him in. He's been playing tackle and playing it at a high level, in college. Sometimes you just don't need the long arms. And he's got great base. He's got great footwork. So, going to take him right here.
No matter what, though, even if like they try him a tackle and it doesn't work, the Titans have so many needs you can easily slot him to guard in the following year.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
They have so many needs in that line. So here I am with the Texans. I made this pick a couple of weeks ago when I uploaded a video. I said he was the best fit. I had him going here. I have to, and I gave the exact same reason that's fit here. Are there better players on the board? Yes. But the Texans literally just traded Brandon Cooks less than a week ago when we're recording this. They need receivers. They have added a lot of talent. But there is one guy I love in this class that I think can come in and be an immediate game changer on the receiving group. There's not many of these guys in this class. But Zay Flowers, to me, is that guy who can change an offense. He can play the slot, and he can play a lot of the similar roles the 49ers use with Brandon Ayuk. And I don't know if you know this, Ayuk did pretty good last year. And if you listen to Brett Coleman, he's been saying that for many years.
Do you worry? You say that he can play a lot of what Ayuk does, but Ayuk is huge.
Zay Flowers has put on a lot of weight, man.
Yeah, but he's still small. So,
but Devonta Smith for the Eagles, who they drafted, people said he was small. Played really well. He plays the outside receiver role very well. He can go inside and do a lot of the same stuff.
No, I'm not saying.
I think Zay Flowers has the technique. He knows how to beat a press man very well. He has got very good hand movement, and he is a great route runner. And his hands are really solid too. But we didn't see them as much because he played on quite frankly, a bad Boston College team.
So, who does Aaron Rodgers want?
Randall Cobb. Devontae Adams. Jordy Nelson.
Yeah. None of those guys are on this. Can you believe that?
Well, there's a certain age limit.
That is true. They're probably not draft eligible. That you make a good point there. So, they've during free agency, they got rid of James Robinson. Braxton Berrios is gone, but they lost Fant, Cedric Abui, Remmers, Tardif, Nate Herberg, your guy, because he went to Pittsburgh, didn't he?
Are you going to draft his little brother in this class?
And then Dan Feeney and Connor McGovern. So,
good God, I didn't realize they lost that much in the line.
They've lost a ton on the line. So, we're going to draft Broderick Jones. And here's the thing. I see him at tackle, but he's got such great footwork that even this year, if you just need to get your 5 best out there and you put him at guard, you can do it. But I think he'll actually be a solid tackle as well. So, Broderick Jones.
He reminds me a lot of Trevor Penning from last year, if that makes sense. And I was very adamant Penning is a guard, and I'll stick with that with Broderick Jones. The Patriots. I can say, and I have a video coming out about this where I'll go into much greater detail because this is the easiest pick of the draft. Now, I see a lot of people saying, oh, they could go receiver, They're not going receiver. There is 2 positions I can see them taking. Press man, corner, and safety. So we got Joey Porter Jr. here, who I'm not as big a fan of as I am with the other guy I'm about to say, Brian Branch. This is a Bill Belichick pick. This guy fits perfectly in New England. He will play the Devin McCourty role. He can do nickel. He can do everything. Belichick will love him. And he'll be an instant game changer on that Patriots defense when he teams up with Kyle Duggar.
Did you think at all about Deonte Banks, or are you holding him for Pittsburgh?
So, Deonte Banks, I do think would be great in New England. But Belichick likes his guys. Am I going to argue with the greatest coach in NFL history about what guy? No. If he wants Brian Branch, he gets Brian Branch. And with Banks, I don't know if I see him getting to Pittsburgh. Get to that in a sec.
So, I didn't see this before, but it shows Green Bay needs a quarterback right now. Did you see that?
Yes. They don't have it for the Jets either. Because they had the Jets as the quarterback.
Okay, well, maybe I should just draft Anthony Richardson right here.
Are you just going to try and stab me in the heart cheering against one of my two guys? Is that what you're trying to do?
No. With Love being the guy, I think we're just going to look at going tight end. They definitely need a tight end. I know tight end's kind of a controversial topic in this draft because everybody's got their favorite, whether it be Dalton Kincaid, Mayer, or, after the combine. And this always cracks me up because there's always somebody after the combine that is just a workout warrior and everybody loved him, and that's Darnell Washington. I'm just not that sold on him making an impact, right away. So I'm going to take Michael Mayer.
That's not all where I thought you were going.
I know where you thought I was going.
Who do you think I had my finger on?
Musgrave.
Yep. Mayer's a good pick, and they just lost Bob Tunyon to free agency. Now, here I'm with the Washington Commanders, and they can't draft a new owner, even though that's probably pending. As the Laker fan in you says, yay, Magic Johnson. But I don't view quarterback as the biggest need anymore for them because they brought in Jacoby Brissett, and I feel like you have two quality quarterbacks for at least this year, and if Sam Howell hits, you're good. So now I'm going to look at the defense side of the ball. I love this man. This man, I'm convinced, is going to be a great corner. I don't think he's the best corner in this class because I do love Witherspoon. But he's in their state. He's in Maryland. He is a beast, and Ron Rivera will love him. Give him Deontay Banks. As much as it breaks my Steelers' heart that I want to see him in black and gold, he fits Washington. He do so well there, too. I'm just a little emotional right now.
Well, you're giving Magic one of your guys. So,
Yeah. Magic won my team how many championships? I'm just helping him back.
Yeah. All right. So I got Pittsburgh. And I saw a picture recently where, there was a dinner with a bunch of offensive linemen.
Who sent you that picture?
I don't know, some guy. Some guy. So I think I should just pick an offensive lineman. I mean, really. I do, but I'm not going to.
Okay, well, you just threw me for a loop as I went to offensive tackle there. Thanks for that.
I just think it's a little too high.
Agreed.
For, a little too early for that. So, they, of course, need a linebacker. They could use a cornerback. Joey Porter is kind of like the obvious guy there. This is kind of a deep draft for corners. So I'm going to completely throw you through the ringer, and I'm going to draft Kancey.
I could see it. I could. The one thing I'm curious, if the Steelers do draft Joey Porter Jr., does Joey Porter Sr. apologize for what he said about Tomlin after Tomlin fired him? That's my question.
Water under the bridge.
Well, better be. No, and I'm just going to take back. What do I think the Steelers do? I told you, I think they go linebacker here. I told you who I think it is. I think it's Jack Campbell here at pick 17. As of, we're recording this on March 23rd, 2023. There's a lot of threes in that. I think the Steelers take Jack Campbell. Whether they trade back and do it or something, I think they go Campbell. I don't think they draft tackle. I know a lot of Steelers fans are like, ooh, we got to get this tackle. I think the big guy from Ohio State, Dwan,
Yeah,
yeah,
Dwan.
I think he is a probable tackle at pick 32. But he also didn't weigh in, as you said in the pro day yesterday, which I didn't know about, but he didn't, which has a lot of people concerned, like you said, that he is close to 400 pounds.
Yeah.
The only tackle I see them taking in round one is them trading up and get Paris Johnson Jr., which if they do, I will be attempting a backflip. You'll be taking me to the hospital after that, but I will be attempting a backflip.
I'll take you to the hospital after the first round. So.
That's fine. That's fine. I just make sure I can prop up and see the TV.
So, do you think that it's way too early for Campbell? Talking about draft rankings and everything else, I would almost bet on 3/23 of 2023 that you would be able to get him at pick 32 and not have to worry about it. And the reason why I'm saying that is because if another linebacker comes off the board in the first round, which I don't see, but if it does, it's going to be Simpson.
So, and Simpson's very possible. I think they view Campbell higher. This is me with not knowing the organization at all. Just paying attention to how they draft and where they went for the pro days and everything. This is the first time they've ever gone to an Iowa pro day with like their GM and head coach. And I look at this as simply Jack Campbell's someone they value highly with how he plays football. He is a Pittsburgh Steelers linebacker, which for a lot of people like, oh, you take the best player on the board. The Steelers take Pittsburgh Steelers. The Baltimore Ravens take Baltimore Ravens. I can just go on the list. Certain teams know who to pick and what type of player he is. I think they view Campbell as a Pittsburgh Steeler. That being said, I'd prefer they trade back. If Campbell is their guy, I prefer they trade back. Maybe if AR-15's on the board here, and I know he doesn't want to go by that nickname, but it's habit. Maybe you trade back with, I don't know, I was going to say the Ravens, but that won't happen in a million years. Let's look. Maybe you trade back with someone who's looking for a quarterback. Could it be Seattle? Maybe like, hey, there's a guy here we want, and we can sit him behind Geno with how his contract works. Maybe it's Tampa, like, hey, we want someone behind Baker. Baker's only got a 1-year deal. Anthony Richardson is from Florida. He's right down the road from us. Maybe it's not like that. They have Kyle Trask as well, who knows Anthony Richardson, who was with Anthony Richardson Anthony's first year at Florida. So I think there's a bunch of things, and I do think trade back is probable if they go linebacker. So I will say this. If they do go linebacker, and that is Jack Campbell, I think they do trade back for it.
I just think that he's going to be available at their 32nd pick. So that's why I was asking.
Here's now, the other thing we don't know.
You mentioned that they went to the Iowa Poet. Could they be looking at Luke Van Ness?
It is very possible Lucas Van Ness. And I don't know how I'd feel about that exactly because I think Van Ness is a very, very good talent. I don't know how he fits on the D-line because he just, for me, he just doesn't scream big guys. And I know he is big, but when you look at him, he doesn't look big at all, does he?
Well, he's 6'5" and 272. You throw another 15 pounds on him.
Which is true.
Of muscle. And, I mean, he's right there.
I view that as a less likely just because they just re-signed Larry O, which I do believe is a 1-year deal, even though I haven't read the full contract details. It's a 3-year, 21. It's in the $20 million contract range. I believe it's like a 1 to 2 year deal with how they do guarantees. But it could be something like that. I just think it's linebacker as of today, if I had to guess.
There you go.
So here I'm at the Lions, and oh boy, I have a happy Dan Campbell already. He is jumping up and down. He is doing squats. I'm pretty sure he ran and got some milkshakes for the entire draft room. He just ran down Dairy Queen real quick. He's having the time of his life. So, what do we have here? Well, the Lions have a need at corner, in my opinion, still. And they did just sign Cam Sutton, who I do love and I do adore, but he's not a number 1 corner. Well, there's Joey Porter Jr. here. I think that's a solid pick. I think he'd play very well in Detroit. But I do think there's other guys as well. They have a need at receiver besides Amon-Ra St. Brown. There's one guy I would take here, and you would disagree, but I'm not taking him here because I don't think he fits the Lions. We can go all around. Anthony Richardson. Do they take AR? No. And the reason I say no is because they believe they can go on a run here. They're using these 2 picks to get ready to go on a run. The NFC North's open for the taking. The Vikings have dismantled their team. The Packers are losing maybe their best player in franchise history, and the Bears are still building. The Lions are the team that's young, hungry, and ready to go up. So let's look at their biggest need on offense. That's tight end. You have a bunch of guys here, but I'm not going to take my number 1 overall tight end in Dalton Kincaid, because he's not what the Lions are. Luke Musgrave fits the Lions better, so I'll give them Luke Musgrave here at pick 18.
It's a good pick. Musgrave is my favorite tight end in this draft.
I know. Trust me, I know.
So.
And do you disagree that even though I have a higher grade in Dalton Kincaid, Musgrave fits the Lions' personnel better?
Well, yeah, he's more of a all-around tight end. He will block, not as good as as some of the other guys in this draft, but he will block. Whereas Kincaid is basically just a wide receiver that plays closer to the line. So, with Tampa Bay, we were talking about Tampa Bay yesterday, and during that time, we were just talking about teams that could technically take Bijan Robinson, and I was like, well, totally Tampa Bay could, along the lines of the same reason when we were talking about play action earlier, teams that use play action, and that's where Baker's best is play action. They really don't have a every down running back on the team right now, but they've also got a lot of other needs, and their offensive line was just catastrophic this past year. I mean, everywhere you went up and down the board, they had injuries all over. Their defensive line kind of needs an overhaul as well. So honestly, you can probably take a dart and throw it, at the board. Hopefully it sticks on something and go from there. But I just by what I know they need, and I'm going to go with Darnell Wright here. He's solid. He can anchor the right side of the line. And I think Wirfs could probably play left better than Wright can. So transition him over.
With how big Wright is, do you consider moving him to guard?
No, I don't. I am higher on him than you are by.
Well, when I look at Wright, I don't view him as a first-round pick. He's a fine player. I just don't think he's a first-round pick.
Well, I mean, if you look about some of the guys that he has stonewalled over the past couple of years, it's pretty impressive.
Yes, he stonewalled the Gators. No, I'm not over that Tennessee Gator game. I will never be over that game.
He stonewalled Will Anderson too. So, I mean,
So, here I am with Seattle. I want to make a pick that will upset you so much just for your reaction. And you know exactly who I'm talking about.
Anthony Richardson, of course.
But I'm not. Seattle has some needs. They need another wide receiver. Tyler Lockett's getting up there in age. They need a guard. They just cut Gabe Jackson. They need a center, and there's really one center that everyone considers to be the best center in this class. But they have a bunch of high second-round picks. Well, one. But here's the thing. Seattle will trade back. This is not well, they could trade back. No. They'll trade back. This is what they do. So I know they're going to probably go guard center in the top of the second round. They're probably going to have 2 top second round picks, the one they got from Denver and one they got from trade back, and they'll take 2 interior linemen. So sitting here today, I don't have that luxury. So I could go O'Cyrus Torrence, who I love. I could go John Michael Schmitz, who you love. I could go Joe Tippmann just to get your jaw on the floor like you were yesterday when you told me about Daniel Jeremiah. But I'm not. I view this as someone Pete Carroll would just like to get his hands on. I'm going to give them Lucas Van Ness. They did improve a lot of their D-line. You did draft Tyree Wilson. But Seattle was at its best when it was rotating their D-linemen. There's no dispute about that. They were at their best when they had a rotation. You get back to that rotation, and here's the thing. The San Francisco 49ers will run it on you 80 times a game. You want you want fresh bodies out there. A rotation against 49ers could be huge and could lead to division titles.
The only thing I'll say about that is that right now on the defensive line, they've got a lot of, maybe not at the skill level of Luke Van Ness, but the position that he would play in Seattle, they've got a lot of those guys. They don't have that nose tackle on the defensive line right now because honestly, Van Ness is going to come in and play where Draymond, where Jaron Reed, and where Tyree, all three of them where they're at. So, I mean, I think he's a great player. In my opinion, and I can't believe I'm going to say this, I would have taken Jackson Smith-Njigba right here.
I had the recording. He said he prefers offense over defense.
No, that's not what I said.
I got it.
But
new ringtone.
My reasoning for that is, in my opinion, he is the best wide receiver in this draft. You can work him for a year, get him acclimated to the system. He provides a huge upgrade over your number 3 wide receiver right now.
Who
Tyler Lockett.
Like, legit, who is it? I don't know.
D. Eskridge right now.
Oh, God, I forgot about him.
They didn't bring back Marquise, so. But Tyler and DK both have $23+ million cap hits next year. Tyler's aging, and so I think that by bringing on Jackson, he could just slide into Tyler's role, and they could either move on from him or try to trade him for something. But
so can I tell you the other guy I consider taking here?
Yeah, absolutely.
Joey Porter Jr. They need another outside corner, and he does have the length of a Pete Carroll type corner.
No, I can totally see that. My thing, like I said, right now is that they've been working on solidifying the offensive line. They've been looking for a third receiver, and just looking, they're gonna have to cut ways with Lockett.
You've been saying this for like the past 3 years. At this point, I've given up that's happening.
No, I said that everybody else was going to, but Seattle wasn't going to. But now they're going to have to, because you're not going to pay an aging wide receiver $23 million. So,
yeah. Okay, well, here on the clock, the Chargers. I might have a little internet connection issue. Let's see. Well, me personally, what would I do with the Chargers while we wait for him? I love Josh Downs. I made a video about Josh Downs fitting in with the Chargers. Great. But the board has fallen pretty nicely for them. That you can argue Brian Brzee here would be a very solid pick. They've had issues in the front seven for a couple of years now. Okay, really, since Staley's gone there. They need some help on the interior D-line. And they have a lot of talent edge. They have a lot of talent in the secondary. They need to stay healthy. That's a big thing for the Chargers. But if they can't stay healthy, you need depth. So you can go almost anywhere here. Joey Porter Jr. makes a lot of sense here as well, because he does bring depth to the secondary. And if the Chargers, like I said, have health issues, it's huge. You can also go with the highly athletic Nolan Smith, who would be pretty good in that system. You reconnected?
I never left.
Oh, I had no audio on my side from you, so I was talking, filling in time. Okay, my bad.
Nope, I never left. I was just not one to interrupt you.
Okay, guess what? I'm an idiot. No, wait, that's not new. Okay, who do you got with the Chargers?
The Chargers are you.
No, I just picked for Seattle.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. When you were going off like that, I was so kind of like what you had said. The board has fallen pretty well for I almost said San Diego, but for the Chargers, they could go up numerous places. Wide receiver, definitely need a wide receiver. I like the idea of Joey Porter, like you had just said. They could also use a tight end like Dalton Kincaid, and all along the defensive front, they could use. I think that knowing what they've lost, because they lost, Kyle Van Noy. They lost a couple of other D-line guys and a bunch of linebackers. I think here's where Miles Murphy's going to come off the board.
And, really? Over Brzee for you?
Well, Murphy's more edge. Brzee is interior. So, yeah,
Murphy's not even the next edge I would have taken off the board here. Wow.
Well,
so I'll ask you about the guy I would have taken, and you can explain. Would you have taken Will McDonald?
I think he's a phenomenal athlete, but in my opinion, it's too early for him.
Okay, that's fair.
So,
okay. So remember how I was talking about how Steelers draft Steelers and Ravens draft Ravens? Well, the reason why they draft the same players is because they're pretty much twin brothers that just respect each other but hate each other at the same time. So, everyone says Joey Porter Jr. would be a great Steeler. Yeah, he fits the Steelers. You know who he also fits? He fits the Ravens. The Ravens have an older secondary. Humphreys did not have a typical Marlon Humphreys year. They lost Marcus Peters. They're getting older. They need to replenish with youth. Joey Porter Jr., the Ravens just makes sense.
Say no more. The Vikings are just going to walk up.
Something at the TV screen for the Joey Porter Jr. going off right before them.
No, the Vikings are going to walk up, and they're just going to drop on Jackson Smith and Jigma, and they're going to walk away. They just lost Adam Thielen. So giving a complement receiver to, for that offense, and Smith and Jigma with his route running is amazing. I can't believe that he fell to 23, but we'll just go with that, and they will be laughing all the way.
I probably would have gone to AR there because that's a team headed towards a rebuild based off a lot of their moves. I'm surprised they kept Harrison Smith. Here I am with the Jaguars. I want them to take Dalton Kincaid. I made a video about them taking Dalton Kincaid. Around 30 minutes after that video got uploaded, they franchise tagged Evan Ingram, which takes out Dalton Kincaid because that was Dalton Kincaid's role.
No, it doesn't take him out. A franchise tag is only technically a 1-year deal.
It is a 1-year deal. But I think
look at the last two. Weren't there 2 tight ends franchise last year?
Mike
and they're both playing for different teams this year for less money than they were franchised for last year.
That is true. But Jaguars Doug Peterson tends to get a tight end he likes and sticks with it. Dalton Kincaid makes sense here, but I don't think it is. The Jaguars have a lot of athletes. I don't need to draft an athlete for that defense. They have a lot of athletes, but not enough production. I'm going to give them Bryan Brzee. I'm going to strengthen interior defensive line. I'm going to give them a bit harder to run against when you're in a division with Derrick Henry, who could still be traded, a division with Jonathan Taylor, who I'm rebuilding a line with the Colts with, and Dameon Pierce. You need to strengthen that interior D-line. You need to stop giving up the rushing lanes in. It was a very easy way for teams to abuse them was running the football on them. They need to strengthen it, and they have a lot of athletes. Now you need some big boys. You need some production.
No, I get it, and that's a good pickup for them because you're right, they do need, and they also lost Arden Key.
Mm-hmm.
So, the Giants are on the clock. Giants could totally use a wide receiver, and Quentin Johnston's on the board. They need a guy on the outside that can go up, get a contested ball, and turn it into something. And I think he's more of a one-trick pony than say Jordan Addison or Jackson Smith and Jigma. But, you know, what the Giants are looking for right now is his trick. So I think we're just going to take that.
Yeah, here I'm with Dallas, and they have to bring back Terrence Steele, which is a bit concerning, but I do think they'll eventually get him. Even though if I was a team, I would definitely sign him and pay that second round pick because I think he's worth it. But Dallas has some needs. I can't draft the head coach, even though that's what I would really want to do. I'm going to look at receiver. They just got Brandon Cooks. Brandon Cooks is older. I believe he's over the age of 30 by now. CeeDee Lamb is going to need a contract extension. I'm willing to bet Dallas will pay him, or if they already did, I'm blanking on it.
No, they have not paid him yet.
Okay. Dallas will pay him. Jerry pays his guys, but they need a lot of wide receivers today's day and age. You could use a Jordan Addison. You could use a Josh Downs. But, as you said, there is one tight end in this class that is like a big wide receiver. And guess what? They just lost their tight end. So give me Dalton Kincaid.
I actually like that pick for them, shockingly. So, job well done. Buffalo. Well, as I'm scrolling through here, I do not see a button for Brian Dable to come back and work with Josh Allen. So I think that ship has passed. They need offensive line help. I think they need defensive line help. So they also could use help in the secondary as well. They're a team that on paper looks pretty amazing, but towards the end of the year, they don't have a lot of depth and they seem to be running out of gas. One of the things that I noticed, especially towards the end of the season after, injuries, is they didn't have anybody that really was pushing the pocket to rush the passer, both on the inside, and then they couldn't really generate pressure on the outside. So I'm going to go Nolan Smith here and give them that outside pass rush. Let him just go after the quarterback.
I would have gone a completely different position. I would have done Clark Phillips there.
Well, and I said they needed secondary as well.
Mm-hmm. So, the Bengals have a pretty good team. They can have some luxury picks. You put on this dude's film, it's fun. He's an athlete. Is he ready to play? No. But can he sit? Yeah. Can he develop in that Bengal system that seems to produce good pass rushers? Yes. Give me Will McDonald from Iowa State.
Alrighty. The Saints are on the clock. And the Saints kind of like everything that you've been talking about. They've got a lot of needs in a lot of places.
The Aints.
Yeah, the Aints. I don't know if they're quite that far. They have a pretty good team still. They had a top 10 defense last year, and that's without getting a lot of sacks.
Any sacks?
So they really need to work on their rush. So I think we're going to do Adibari there for them.
The guy at Northwestern?
Yeah, he is a high motor. A physical freak. You can play him on the edge, but I also think on third downs, you could slide him inside and, he can rush from the inside as well. So, I think he's going to be explosive and I really like him. I would take him over a lot of other people just because I think he's so versatile in this draft.
So, I get to do here what I wanted to do at pick 10. Give me O'Cyrus Torrence. Replenish that offensive line. It's what the Eagles are known for. It's what they need to keep. Keep your brand in football. Protect Jalen Hurts. Be your smash mouth selves.
So we know that, especially since there's no draft or no trades in this draft, that this draft, of course, would not happen just because Anthony Richardson is still on the board.
I would have taken him a couple spots, but we disagree where he would have gone. And
so,
might I ask you, before you do this pick, would you consider taking him with the Chiefs and have him work with Andy Reid to develop and then flip him?
Well, that's what I was just going to say. That was one of the things. Andy has been notorious, especially when they were in the Green Bay area. They always drafted quarterbacks, worked them, and then got draft capital in their place. So, I thought about that as well. One of the things for them that is really concerning is just their offensive line. I know they brought in some talent, but
Jawan Taylor's downgrade.
I'm not saying he's not. So I thought about going offensive line here, and I'm also sorry. I'm kind of going down, looking at different guys. There is a guy that, and I haven't seen him in too many drafts recently, but I think if you pair him up with Chris, I think it's just going to kind of be crazy. And I don't even see him on here now. I'm looking for him, but I did, like I said,
tell me the player's name, I can find him.
Well, I'm getting there. Just hold on. So,
this is not live, but this is a recording, and I am brought to you here, and I'm gonna just
there you go. So, I can't believe he's fallen as far in the rankings, but I'm going to take Keon White.
How far has he fallen?
He's 90th.
Huh. Okay.
So, I really like him, and I think
like PFF does not.
Yeah, but PFF's grades, I think a lot of them. This is where I do most of my mocks, and unless you basically follow who they have for like their player rankings, they're not gonna agree. If you take a linebacker in the first round or a center, they always give me, even if I trade down and I take Schmitz at like 25 or 26, I get a C. Okay. So
do this. Do a draft with the Seahawks. Take a quarterback every single pick and watch the grade.
Take a quarterback or a cornerback?
Quarterback. Take a quarterback every single pick and watch the grade.
I'll do that tonight and I'll let you know.
You will get the lowest I've ever gotten doing that is a B-. It is hilarious. But that's going to wrap us up here. We are recording, and a little bit of spoiler, I've had March Madness going on my phone while this is going on because it started while we were recording. But that's going to wrap us up. We're done here today. I hope you guys enjoy this, and we will be doing at least one more, and I will be doing my own personal one, which will be coming out the night before the draft. But until then, be safe, everyone, and have a happy Easter.
And please, if you have disagreements or questions, or if you like any of our picks, let us know. Sometimes we're not afraid to.
We're not go down in the comment section. We're not afraid to talk. And if you want, I will link our Twitters in the description. You can come and call me an idiot in my DMs or whatever. I don't mind. I can take it. I grew up in an Italian family.
And I love to talk football all the time, so bring it.
Goodbye, everyone. Have a great day.